Hi, welcome. In this video, I'd like to discuss the difference between controlling and managing a problem versus actually changing it. And this is where, again, where the method itself, where the approach is absolutely critical as it relates to creating change between dogs and owners. Because here's the thing, I talk about what the real problem is in the dog training world by way of this very, very popular learning-based approach, which leaves the door completely wide open, for many dogs to continue to hold control within the process through how learning is applied, through motivating dogs in a very, very superficial way, which allows them, again, to continue to hold control based on how it's applied, based on this assumption that the majority of dog trainers make, that response represents a like-minded state. When I say like-minded state, the way that they're interpreting, a dog's state of mind by way of relationship at a physical level. Just dogs that are responding, they're moving around, they're doing the sit down, come and stay, and the trainer's just giving it a green light. They're saying, well, it looks good, it feels really good, it must be good. And more often than not, that couldn't be further from the truth, And just like my selfish child example, you can make a selfish child respond in all sorts of different ways with something that they like or want. It doesn't mean that their motives are changing, It doesn't mean that the perception, how they perceive the parent and other people is changing, It just means that you're just generating a series of responses, and this is exactly what's happening within the dog training world. Now, this goes into this whole issue of, the difference between managing a problem until something bad happens, and changing it. And so just understand that when you're using certain things, such as using crates, you got a dog on a leash, and you're assuming based on what you're the type of process that you've adopted based on this very popular learning idea of training, that things are happening. Understand that oftentimes it's like a ticking time bomb. You're just, something bad happens. And this is where the whole thing with this whole issue about people feeling blindsided comes from, right? Where it seems like totally disconnect. You feel like you're disconnected because you've aligned yourself with this appearance-based narrative, which operates just in a superficial way off of appearances, and you feel completely blindsided. It's like, wow, everything appeared to be moving in the right direction, because, again, understand this assumption that everyone's making without putting the picture to the test. Again, we'll talk about this really specific way to make sure, you're getting feedback, make sure that you know where you're standing at the beginning in the relationship. But understand this assumption, right? You're assuming things, and then suddenly you feel completely blindsided. And you even see this happen with balanced trainers. I mean, you see these balanced trainers, and there's a situation in the UK, balanced dog trainer totally just justifying this, with this dog becoming aggressive. And if you truly understood, you watch how these trainers are engaging a process, it makes complete sense to me why people feel blindsided. Because the point is, you don't have to feel blindsided, because once you understand what these trainers are doing, how they're selling this, it's very easy to do. Understand, it's the easiest thing to make to draw people in this way and to make them feel good and to get people to buy into it, right? Because, again, on how it's set up, how it shines a light differently. So it's the easiest thing to do. And it's just easy, too, for these trainers to shove the blame off, right, when something bad happens, because they know the reality is that, well, if the public's going to buy into it at the front end, they're going to buy into it at the back end, too, when something bad happens, because that's how it's marketed. Understand that this is so common. So my encouragement to people is understand that, again, we talk about the difference between managing a problem and change. It's so critical that you approach the process, or you adopt the right approach at the beginning, so that you're not going to be set up to feel blindsided. You're not going to be locked in a situation of, just managing a problem until something bad happens. And so the issue about control is about, control itself through how you're using things to control, to manage, but it's really about control. But the difference is it's while change is happening, okay, based on the fact that you've embraced a methodology, okay. I talk about this interaction-based system, what it does, that's going to actually provide a clear path to change, okay. It's actually going to change the perceptions from dog to owner, and therefore, okay, control by way of how you're using crates, how you're using certain things to control, they can fade out. It's a means to an end. It's not an end to itself where you just always, you always have these collars on the dogs. You can't get the collars off the dogs, and on it goes. So all to say that, it's so critical to make sure that you understand that when you, at the very beginning, when you embrace a process, don't do it just because it looks good, it feels good, because that's how it's presented, right? Feels good. The same holds true in parenting, okay? Just because something feels good, and in terms of, say, your attitude towards parenting, doesn't mean that you should do it, okay, if it's based on meeting the needs of another. Because, again, the same type of deceptive picture can take hold. And so you have to really understand that it's about doing the right thing, okay? It's not about being abusive, all those different things that people sometimes will think about because it's different. And here's the thing to understand, because this is so popular, right? And people have bought into it at such a level that it's like if you talk any other way, well, it must mean this. And don't get me wrong, there's trainers out there that are way over the top, but see, that still comes from a lack of depth and understanding, right? They're over the top because they have a sense of something. Say, well, we sense that discipline and punishment, the way that they define influence, and so but it's all over the place, right? It doesn't align properly because they're not invested properly in a process that's going to align correctly. So I talk about interaction-based. It's just be like interacting with a child in a way that makes sense and that's reasonable, okay? This is what I'm talking about, okay? It's about relationship. So again, I'd encourage anyone, if you're looking for answers, check out my website. I have a page dedicated to helping people understand the real problem, but also the solution. And when you go to my website, it'll say the relational approach. You click on that tab, and I talk through it, and it makes sense. So again, if you're looking for answers, check out my website. I'm here to help people. I truly care about dogs and owners the right way, and I say the right way means about a process that's going to advocate correctly. So if you have questions, contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.